Walt Disney's The Fox and the Hound. The sun was barely up when Widow Tweed started the chores around her little farm. She milked the cow, fed the chickens, then began to hang the laundry out to dry. Suddenly, the pile of clothing moved. The widow lifted the blanket, and there was a frightened little fox. "Oh, you poor thing, you've lost your mamma. Well, don't worry, I'll take care of you." Just down the winding country road lived a hunter named Amos Slade. One day he came home with a surprise for his dog Chief. It was a hound dog puppy named Copper. "He's a little runt now, Chief, but he'll grow. He's for you to look after from now on." Widow Tweed loved having a new member in the family. "You're such a little toddler. I'll call you Todd. But it's time to do my work now, so you run along and play." Todd scampered outside and wandered off into the woods. He saw two funny-looking birds trying to catch a caterpillar. Todd made a face. "A worm for breakfast? Yeek!" At Amos's house, Chief was teaching Copper to be a hunting dog. "Hey there, Copper. What are you sniffing at?" "I don't know, Chief. Something I never smelled before. I want to find out what that smell is." "Okay, Copper, but the master ain't gonna like you wandering off." Copper sniffed his way into the woods. He followed his nose right to the log where Todd was sitting. "What you smelling?" asked the little fox. "I don't know yet." "Why, it's you! Aroo!" "What did you do that for?" "We're supposed to do that when we find what we've been tracking." "I'm a fox. My name's Todd. What's your name?" "Mine's Copper. I'm a hound dog." "Gee, I bet you'd be good at playing hide and seek." "Want to try it, Copper?" Todd bounded off as Copper began to count. And so the two youngsters laughed and played the day away. Now some people will tell you that a fox and a hound could never get along, but Todd and Copper didn't know that. "You're my very best friend." "You're mine too, Todd." "And we'll always be friends forever, won't we?" "Yeah, forever." The next day Copper didn't come out to play. Todd found him tied to his barrel house. "My master says I gotta stay home, and it's no fun neither." "Well, we can play around here then." "Oh no, not with old Chief over there. He can get awful mean. He's cranky." Todd crept into Chief's barrel. "Gee willikers, is he ever big? Wow, look at those teeth." "Oh, don't go in there." Suddenly, Chief's eyes popped open. "A fox!" Chief charged after Todd, scattering chickens in every direction. Amos Slade was so angry he stormed over to Widow Tweed's house. "Your thieving fox was after my chickens." "I don't believe it. Todd wouldn't hurt a thing." "If I ever catch him at my place again, I'll blast him." When the cold winds began to blow, Amos loaded his traps and gun into his truck. "Well, Copper, old Chief and I are going to teach you all about hunting." Over the long winter, Copper grew big and strong. He loved hunting. In no time at all, he was sniffing out animal tracks, even in the deep snow. Soon spring came again. Copper, Chief, and Amos chugged back down the country road toward home. Todd was glad to see his old friend returning. "I'll go see Copper tonight after Chief and Amos are asleep." "Copper, psst! Hey, Copper, it's me, Todd." "Hi, Todd. Gee, it's great to see you, but you shouldn't be here. If Chief wakes up, we'll both be in trouble. I just wanted to know if we're still friends." "Todd, those days are over. I'm a hunting dog now." Just then, Chief woke up. "It's that fox again!" Todd fled from the yard and hid in a woodpile. He shivered as he saw Chief and Amos run past. "After him, boy! Don't let him get away!" Copper's keen nose led him right to the woodpile. "Todd, I don't want to see you get hurt. I'll let you go this one time." Todd escaped by running across a high railroad trestle, but there, blocking his path, was Chief. At that moment, a speeding train rounded the corner. Todd ducked between the rails, but Chief was bumped off the tracks. He tumbled down the steep cliff to the river below. When Widow Tweed heard what had happened, she looked sadly at Todd. "I'm afraid it's not safe for you to live here any longer." In the morning, the widow took Todd to a game preserve deep in the forest. She gave Todd one last hug, then sadly drove away. Poor Todd was frightened and alone. It began to rain. All the other animals scurried to their warm homes, but Todd had no place to go. Finally, Todd found a nice warm den. Unfortunately, it belonged to an angry badger. He chased Todd right back out into the rain. Todd spent a miserable night in the forest. But in the morning, things looked brighter. Todd met a beautiful girl fox named Vixie. She thought Todd was the most handsome fox she'd ever seen. "I just know you're going to love the forest. Let me show you around." Vixie made Todd feel right at home. Todd knew he was going to like living in the forest after all. Meanwhile, Amos and Copper were in the forest too. They were setting traps to catch Todd. "That fox will be coming right through here. Then we'll get him." As Amos set the last trap, a huge bear loomed up before him. Amos stumbled backward right onto one of his own traps. With a mighty swipe, the bear slapped the gun from Amos's hand. Copper tried to protect his master. Fearlessly, he lunged at the huge bear. With a single powerful blow, Copper was knocked to the ground. Todd heard Copper's howl and ran to help his childhood friend. Leaping on the bear's back, he bit and scratched wildly. Todd escaped onto a log high above a raging river. The bear was close behind. But the bear was too heavy for the old log. It split in half. Both animals plunged into the river below. Todd struggled to shore. There was Amos, aiming right at him. Copper limped in front of the hunter's gun. "Come on, Copper, get out of the way!" But the hound refused to leave his friend. Finally, the hunter lowered his gun. "Okay, Copper, I understand. Let's go home." Copper started to follow Amos toward home. After a few steps, he looked back at Todd, and then smiled goodbye. They both knew that a fox and a hound couldn't live together, but they would always be the very best of friends. Sometimes, on warm summer nights, Todd and Vixie would leave the forest and climb a hill overlooking Copper's house. As Todd looked fondly down at his friend, the voices of the little fox and little hound seemed to echo in the breeze. "Copper, you're my very best friend. And you're mine too, Todd. And we'll always be friends, forever. Yeah, forever."